Sam. I haven't been in that group chat mate for ages.
Oh mate, I checked it for the first time in like a month. There was like 105 like unread messages. Like that's how much that's how much I've acknowledged it because they spam it a lot as well, so it's hard to keep up with it.
I know you fucking mute everything, your ball bag.
No, no.
Here, what are you doing on the weekend in January 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd?
Oh mate, I haven't thought that far ahead.
I'm going to London, so Sam's 30th.
Ooh,
Sam's 30th on the 21st of
ooh.
Jan.
It's the big 3-0 for Sam.
Alright, so I said that I'll fly over. Um, so yeah, I'll get Christmas sorted and then get that sorted.
Yeah. Well, I'm staying in Sweden over Christmas. I just don't see the point going back. Too expensive, too crowded. Everything fucks me off. I'm always just, running around like a blue-ass fly. Um, so when did you say you're flying over? The 20th.
Yeah, the 20th. Sam's birthday's the 21st. There for the 22nd, home the 23rd.
Happy days. Yeah, I'll keep those dates in mind. Get something sorted.
Radio, let's roll this.
Let's roll it. Go on, do that thing. We haven't done it in a while, and I missed it ever so much.
Kissed.
I've just played it, bro. Alright, fuck it. That's getting cut out already. How far did we make? Oh, hang on. Let's see how far we made. We made it. We made it to Celtic Park. I think that's all we need really. Fuck the Emirates.
That's gotta get cut soon, isn't it?
Yeah, that's gonna be cut soon. I think we've got to try and find something else. Oh, we should take that screenshot from Sam's stream actually. Just use that instead. All right, take two.
Morg, play the jingle.
Beautiful. Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Football Booth podcast. My name is Fennan. Joining alongside me, the man who's got a floating World Cup above his head. It's Mayhem. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Be a bit of a sore throat, be a bit of a cough, but we're here. Unlike some people, I'm loyal.
Unlike some people, I'm loyal. Well, as I mentioned, I mean, it's going to be. It won't be such a long episode as they usually are. It's just like I said. It's just a roundup of what has gone on at the World Cup in Qatar so far. As you can see, if you're watching this live on YouTube, I've got my fancy new retro Welsh shirt just in time for the big one tomorrow, where we'll probably get absolutely slaughtered, if I'm honest. It's not been a good time for us at this World Cup. Comparing the results we've had in the build-up to this major competition that we have not qualified for in 64 years, we really have fallen short so far.
Yeah, obviously, disappointment the other day was honestly gutted for us.
Broken, mate. Absolutely broken.
I think the most annoying thing is that they fully deserve the win. I mean, I don't think there can be any qualms over that. The Hennessy red card can maybe look a bit skewed, but they were knocking on the door anyway. They hit that segment of play where they hit both posts and Hennessy within the space of like a minute.
Yeah, no. It wasn't. It was a sore sight to see. That's for sure.
Yeah, fuck Joe Allen as well. Like, guy's dog shit. But it's just, I think, like you said, the standards have been set so high, and whether that was, Gareth Bale on the peak of his powers, and recalling memories from the Euros, and getting all the way to the quarterfinals, knocking out Belgium on the way there. Robson Kanu, reliving through all these things. To in the end, yeah, go out, not go out because you're just still in it, and it's a massive game tomorrow. But yeah, in the Iran game, just out of the whimper, there wasn't. That's got to be the most annoying bit overall.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I completely agree. Iran, from start to finish, were the better side. We didn't look threatening in the slightest, and it feels like we're still sitting on that magic cloud of 2016, where we've over exceeded expectations, that's for sure. And like the performance so far we've had in this World Cup is what we all expected back in 2016 when we were in a group with Slovakia, Russia, and England. And it's kind of it feels like we've sort of come back down to earth. The bad thing is it's made a lot of fans become very fickle in some sense, English, with irony, where we have set expectations for ourselves, where we've looked at these other teams we've got in the group, and you look at them on paper like, yeah, we're going to walk past Iran, yeah, we're going to come away with 3 points against the Yanks. And I mean, that was the whole mentality in the build-up to this competition. Just looking at that group on paper, and we were like, yeah, we'd easily finish second. Like, we're not confident against England. We never usually are. And despite England coming away with a draw against the Yanks on Friday, they always show up in these big games. It's so identical to Swansea Cardiff. Like, they always turn up for these sorts of games, and we always fall short. And so, like, I don't know what to expect tomorrow. I don't know what to expect, what the lineup's going to be. Rob Page has come out and said that he's coy on not starting Ramsey and Bale, which in essence isn't a bad shout. I think bar the penalty from Bale against America, they haven't contributed a lot in these first two games, and so it's a big call to make, and I do feel that Rob Page will make big changes, but it's still a big question whether he will go with our two talisman, to say, two massive players in Welsh history that have got us here off the scrap of their hands, and these two games have been so underwhelming, not just for Bale and Ramsey, but for pretty much everyone. I think the only two players that can really hold their head high and say that they come away from a World Cup with durable performances are probably Kiefer Moore and Ben Davies. I feel they're the only two individuals that can stand up and say that they've been effective. But bar that, I personally think there isn't a lot of names. Probably Nico Williams, perhaps, who played well in the USA game.
I would have had Nico in there. I don't think he'd done a lot wrong in the Iran game. He was being kicked from pillar to post.
Yeah.
And looked like he may have to come off at one point and soldier on. I thought he had an okay game. Kiefer was like, you should have won that. You should have won the US game. Kiefer misses a huge chance, and it's these things
100%.
that World Cups turn on. If he puts that in, you're on 3 points. You probably don't have to go so gun ho against Iran. You'll take the draw. 4 points going into the last game. So these things turn. And again, the US probably don't settle for a draw in that game against England. They push on even more so, and they could have come unstuck. But we're living in a world of maybes. Ultimately, I think Wales were really poor in the first half of the States game.
Mm-hmm.
Were by far the better team in the second half, and fell well short of the expectations that they've set against Iran. Iran's one of these footballing anomalies, because it's Iran. People say, "Oh, you should walk past them." They're ranked 20th in the world. Wales are ranked 19th in the world. So it was always going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
It was a lackluster performance. I can see a team where he doesn't start Ramsey. I can't see a team that Rob Page has enough about him to not start Gareth Bale. This could potentially be Gareth Bale's last ever game for Wales. I can't see a team but he doesn't put that man in the starting lineup just because look, he may only get across the 90 minutes, he may only get 60 minutes worth of useful minutes out of Bale, but if he's on the pitch in the 92nd minute with a free kick from 25 yards, there's no one else that's going over that. There's no one else with the ability of like him in the Welsh team to go and affect the game from those dead ball situations. Ramsey maybe, that we more of a workhorse in midfield. The rumours are that Jude Bellingham is set to miss the starting lineup, and Jordan Henderson is set to start for England tomorrow, which is a big boost for Wales, I think. Phil Foden still appears to be on the bench. He must have stabbed one of Gareth Southgate's relatives. The fact that he can't get
Burnt
on the
his
pitch,
waistcoat or something. I don't know.
Phil
Foden's Phil Foden's a big call. I was baffled that he didn't start against USA on Friday, and I think looking back at that England USA game with certain individuals that started that game, then it may just well be the case that Southgate's chopping and changing, and we could well see Phil Foden back in that first 11, which is very worrying. But if you're right about Bellingham being rested and Hendo starting over him, then again that is a big boost for Wales.
I think look, England go through as long as Wales don't beat them by 4 goals. That's England through. I think Southgate will now be getting in knockout football mentality, and England will play five at the back tomorrow. I think Kyle Walker will come in on the right side of that three. They'll play with the fullbacks pushed on the two in midfield, and I think that's probably why the rumours are there for Henderson and Rice to sit and allow, the Kane, Sterling, and whoever else he picks to go and affect the games. But it'll be, I think it'll be a tense game tomorrow because Wales are, they'll sit out with their five at the back. So it'll be a tight one. But I think these games, England don't have the best of records. You only have to glance back to the Euros against Scotland, 0-0 there. So they'll understand not only off the back of the States game that they need to put in a performance as well. So there's different kinds of pressures, and I think a wee bit for Wales, the pressure may be lifted a bit. I think a lot of people already see years as out, and the English fans will be turning up to see England put on a performance and put you out.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, it's a massive ask. You look at it all on paper. We have to beat England. We have to beat them. There is no other possibility now. Big thing I'm fearful of is taking that same approach as we did against Iran, where we, like you said, a gung ho approach, and so it's something that we could. I would be surprised if it was similar for the game tomorrow. And look, I back Rob Page. I think he's done a marvellous job taking over for what Ryan Giggs left. And Ryan Giggs didn't really have any effect on Wales. I think he brought the players in, but then Rob Page has carried that torch and just made that flame bigger for us.
I think I think where a lot of people are overlooking as well is, one, how big this game is, but two, the sentiment around it. So it was obviously the anniversary of Gary Speed yesterday, 11
anniversary
years.
of Speedo, yeah.
A lot of people, Rob Page, Gareth Bale, and pretty much anyone within that Wales setup that hasn't come into it over the past, sort of half a decade there, would have had some connection to Gary, and the legacy that he built, because Gary Speed started to build what is here now.
He's the reason why we're here now. Yeah,
and
there's no question.
And he started the cogs turn, and he started turning Wales into a team that the nation could get behind again. You think back to where Wales were. They don't play in the National Stadium anymore. That was because they couldn't fill it. And that was when they had stars like John Hartson and Craig Bellamy and all these boys, and they weren't filling the National Stadium. A stadium they have no problem filling for when the Welsh rugby team's in full flow. So, the capacity's there. Wales have the ability to do it. They just didn't have that connection with the football team. And Speedo started to turn that and started to bring a real passion and relatability back to the team. And to get to a World Cup, I think I said to you afterwards that, look, well short, but what these players have done, what they've achieved, is legendary. It'll go down in history whether they get pumped 7-0 tomorrow that that they made it. And that sounds small time saying it, but from a Scotsman that would have swapped places with you happily,
Mm.
um, get into that competition, being able to enjoy the competition with your nation in it, even if they don't get through to the knockout stages, having 3 games at the biggest football festival in the world, is fantastic. Great building blocks, great way to inspire new players. Dan James has only been in the setup a few years. Look what he's got. Harry Wilson, Nico Williams, this next generation to go on and replicate. And that's the big thing now, because you are, Ramsey and Bale, you're going to lose them. So big boots to fill. And I mean, Bale's a generational talent. You're not going to get another Gareth Bale, but
No, no.
it's about going on and building that strong, solid team. The likes of what Iran have got. Iran obviously have that fella that plays for Porto up top, but they don't have a superstar. They're a well drilled, well organised team, and
Mm.
I think that's what Wales can push on, because you still got people that are playing Premiership football, Nico Williams and Kiefer Moore and Harry Wilson and all these other players that are still playing in the top flight in England. So it's a good core group there. And if anything, this will be fantastic experience, and it'll give them the passion to go again. Obviously, the Euros up next, and then before you know it, it'll be another qualifying campaign for the World Cup. So um, I think it would be remiss to just say that they've been shit, because they've been fantastic for you know 3 years now to get to this point. It's just unfortunate that and you look at the teams that you've played against and swept aside, the likes of Ukraine and that in big games, that the one that you'd have hoped that kind of mentality come out for was the Iran game, a game that is pretty nip and tuck. You'd have hoped
Mm.
that it settled in, but I didn't see the start of it, but I heard that Kiefer had a big chance at the start that he missed.
Yeah, it was straight at the keeper, but gets a good connection on the ball. Ball comes in, Connor Roberts gets on the end of it, straight at the keeper who parries it out towards the far post. But I think that was really our only big chance. I think Ben Davis had one in the second half where he blazed over from the edge of the box.
Yeah, good
But
save. Yeah,
yeah. And so it hurt. It hurt a lot after that Iran game. I remember speaking to you and not being in a good place about it whatsoever. But then to sort of take a step back and realise how far we've come as a nation and what Speedo has built for us, and looking at where we are today. My dad's 62 years old. This is the first World Cup he's seen Wales in. And
yeah.
you think when you get to that sort of age and you feel it's never going to happen,
hmm
and it's come to life. I mean, he's 62. He's had the wait 62 years. That's 2 years shorter than the last time we were physically at a World Cup. And we've got to hold our heads high and just, Ahmad Heed, we're still here.
Yeah,
We're still
that's
here.
it.
And and like you said, they are big boots to fill in Bale and Ramsey. Bale, there'll be none other like him, without a doubt. Not for the next couple of decades, if anything.
You're talking. I mean, this is a big statement, because there has been a lot of great Welsh players. Giggsy. Not I know to say that name now, you almost get demonetized if we ever made any money. The state he's got himself into, but Hughesy, Hartson, Bellamy, Earnshaw, even people that were playing all up at the top level, and
Yeah.
didn't achieve these things. Um,
And then we go back
so,
further and you go to the legendary John Charles, Ian Rush, Neville
yeah, Ian
Southall.
Rush. That's what I mean. Like, you could see Rushy was beaming. I think they were watching on BBC, and he was, I don't know, commentating on one of the other games. It wasn't even the Wales game, but he was beaming just to be there, to realise that
Yeah.
we are here. And um, yeah, it's a wee bit sad that it's kind of petered out the way it did the way it did a few days ago. Sorry, but you know that's what I said. Let their laughter fuel you now. All these, the English were laughing before they'd even kicked the ball against the Yanks. They thought they were 6 points and done. Played like absolute arse against a team that you should have beat. So that should give you confidence as well. Pulisic hits the bar and quite easily a team that you should have rolled over in the second half. They've given the blueprint of how to go out
Yeah,
and play against England.
look
And
problematic against England
you
for
look
most of
at
that game.
Saudi Arabia and Morocco and all these teams. The blueprint's there. Go and press them, go and make it uncomfortable. Don't try and manage the game. I think that's what Wales have tried to do. They tried to manage the game like it's qualifiers, and in these tournaments, it is about just being a wee bit more expansive. Going and playing that moment a little bit more rather than trying to manage the game. And look, if I was Page, I'd go with a four at the back. I'd go to be aggressive. I'd go to play right up against them. I don't think he will, but that's how I'd set up because this could be your last game,
Yeah,
at a World Cup, or even first half play with the five, but have the flexibility to swap it. Play Ethan Ampadu at centre back, so you've got the ability to just pop him into midfield and put him as a holding midfielder and swap it around. And because I feel like Nico plays fantastic in that left wing back position, and then you know what's going to happen. Halfway through the game, they're just going to move Ben Davis out wide, and yeah, it's a bit harsh on him as well. But I would love to see him go and just say, right, if you think you're that good, come on then.
yeah. And like you said, I'd much rather lose 7-0 tomorrow. Because we gotta go at them from the first whistle, regardless. Who would you start? Who would be your front three if you're going four at the back?
So for
Who would you go with your front
obviously,
three?
well, I'll build up to it. Obviously Wardy's in goal now. Hennessy fucking tried to kick that guy's head clean off him.
Yeah, I didn't understand that decision. That was a stupid red card. I knew as soon as the yellow came out, I turned to whoever was sitting next to me at work and go, "Nah, we'll go to VAR," and that'll get overturned, and rightfully did so.
Yeah, I think what the ref was saying was, that Nico was on the cover, which he was. I don't think he's going to get the ball's going away. I can see why the ref pulls out a yellow card. I
Yeah,
think what
but
VAR,
I think the bigger question is why is Hennessy coming off his line if Nico's got it covered?
and they slow it down. I think they're looking at the impact in the end because
Yeah.
I think the ref says like Nico's covering and he's going away from goal, and then they slow it down and obviously show that he's connected with his head and all that kind of carry on. So obviously he gets the red card. So Wardy's going to be in goal. I think Connor Roberts is right back. It's pretty simple. For me, I think Chris Mepham has been fantastic at the World Cup. He's had a couple of shaky moments at the start of the USA game and that, but I think he's been fantastic. I would play Mepham. I would play Davis as the left centre back because I think Nico Williams has been a fantastic performer.
Okay.
And I would want that support. I think the right side that we get to is going to be super strong, and I think that maybe whoever you play on this left side is going to need to be a bit of support from the wing back. So I'd want the legs and the mobility that Nico would bring. Ethan Ampadu to sit at the base of the midfield. Toy in there with I think we spoke about in the States game of saying to Rambo, look, you look a bit leggy. I want to play you in the six, and I want you to control the game, which may be like a way to factor him in the second half. But I think for me, I'd probably stick with Ampadu because he's done all right there. In midfield, I would just go with legs. So for me, it would be Harry Wilson and Joe Morrell, and then out on the wings,
Harry
start Dan
Wilson in
James.
midfield.
Yeah, I still want those legs. I still want him getting out box to box
Yeah.
midfielder. Where he's played. He's played obviously throughout the whole tournament as central midfielder. Gareth on the right because he's the X factor. He's the man that can change a game from 30 yards out. Dan James to be backed up by Nico on the left, and then Kiefer through the middle. I don't think he hasn't had a great World Cup. He come on and changed the game against the States. I think he was very quiet against Iran. Didn't really get into the game, so I'd be looking for big moments. But we know through other tournaments and we know through Cardiff and Bournemouth that he's got big moments in him. So that's how I would set up to go and try and be high intensity pressure. That's why I'd go for Joe Morrell over Rambo, the legs in the midfield, Harry Wilson to press up, really push on to England, and just say if you are as good as you think you are, and you're semi-finalists, in the last World Cup, and your European Euro finalists come and beat us.
100%. And the outcome tomorrow has to be like, so the ideal and perfect outcome for Wales. We have to beat England, then USA and Iran have to draw, or USA have to beat Iran. I think it's only like 1-0 or so based on goal difference. And so, speaking of USA and Iran, playing at the same time as well as England, what sort of approach would you expect those two sides to make?
Yeah, I think the States will feel confident going into the game. I think, they've grown into the tournament. Obviously had a good first half. Timo Weah putting one up. Didn't play particularly well in the second half against Wales. I think they played, they were very solid against England without being overly spectacular. So I think they've grown into the tournament. I expect that their best performance will probably come against Iran, but Iran will be, they'll be flying high. So, they're going to have. I just have a feeling that USA could be one of these teams, and Scotland have done it before. They go to a World Cup, they don't lose a game, and they end up going out because they draw all three of their games. And I have that feeling that Iran, USA was always going to be feisty because of obviously the complications between the two countries, politically over the last couple of decades, and further back. And, you know, Iran are flying on that crescent wave. There's so many problems at home in Iran. God love the manager and the players. They're asked about it in every fucking press conference, like they can do something about it by kicking a ball. So, yeah, I think they enjoy getting on the pitch, and the noise stopping from outside, so they'll be flying high. I think they'll push America all the way. I think 1-1 USA Iran. My 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 heart my heart
I
tells
knew
me
you were gonna go
my,
along those
my
lines.
my heart tells me that Wales have to score. Well, my head tells me Wales have to score two
4-0
tomorrow.
Wales.
Um, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes in these competitions, sometimes the same way that when England and Scotland was building up, I just felt this weird air of confidence. I didn't feel it in the game. I was shitting myself the whole time, but building up to it, even though we had played shit in our first game and we were going to Wembley, we were in their back garden. I think the Red Wall, the way that they've obviously organised themselves is fantastic. It really is the Red Wall inside those stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be as loud as you can, fucking make as much noise as you can for 90 minutes. Really show England that you are still here.
Yeah,
know,
100%.
channel that 64 years of energy, and go out and look. If you get the English are so toxic, right? They're going to go through no matter what. You're not going to beat them by 4 clear goals. That's not going to happen. So they pretty much know that they're safe, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to go out and expect a performance. If you pinch the first goal, right, and you don't want to score too early, you don't really want to wake up the beast, but if you pinch sort of one just before half time, keep it tight, right, the place will turn toxic. But like, it is that kind of environment where if you pinch it, the place will be absolutely toxic. But I still think that you'll need a couple of goals. My heart says 2-1 Wales, and my head says that I worry about. I don't worry about yours from defence to midfield, but from your box to the final third, I think is a steady. What I worry about is, you know, is Gareth fully fit, and your ability to go and score, at the top end of the pitch to go and really affect the game in the final third where it matters. So that would be my worry. But look, if Kiefer can get something, or Gareth can pull out a special moment, and the same way that it happened in Euro 2016, that free kick bounces and goes in. That's all this game really needs, because that will lift. You score the first goal, your players' confidence go up 1,000. Think, yeah, fuck, we're in this game.
Yeah, massively.
England think, shit, we're in a game. The noise levels ramp up, and you know what it's like even playing at the absolute smallest level of football. You're playing five-a-side, you're playing bottom of the league, right? And all of a sudden they pinch an early goal, and you see in them that they start to believe, and then it's a fucking hard game. You've really got to dig it out. It happens at all levels of football, and it's the same here. So it'll be, it'll be, I think, massively dependent on what Wales comes out. But yeah, I wouldn't be sitting comfortable as an England fan. And what have you got to fear as a Wales fan? To half the world you're already at. So fuck it, go and enjoy the moment, go and enjoy the occasion, and hopefully, fucking beat the 2-1 to the good
Well,
guys.
hopefully Bale and Ramsey get the last dance they deserve. Because I wouldn't like it to end. I don't want it to have a sad ending. I want them to go out on a high. They deserve to go out on a high, and what they contributed to
They're at the
this.
World Cup. They're going out on a high.
Yeah, no, I know, but just knowing these fans who have now developed these expectations based off of the progress we've made in previous competitions, like even the last Euros as well, where we got to the last 16, like that was fantastic for us. And no, I'm praying that they honestly, they all of them, all 11 men on that field, just give it their all. I don't care if we go and concede 6-7-0. My heart does say 2-1 Wales. My head says 4-1 England. I feel it'll be the case of England will just catch us on the break. They'll go 3-0 up. We'll get a consolation second half. And then, again, it'll be the same outcome with the first 3 goals where they just catch us on the break. It'll be like 85th, 90th minute, or just an added time where basically everyone, even Danny Ward's up in England's half, and they just get us on the break and put the nail in the coffin for us. But my final thoughts on Wales and England tomorrow. I'm not just saying this to you, Mayhem. I'm saying it to the 4 men behind you. When the English come knocking on our door, let's give them some sugar, boys. Let's give him some Welsh sugar.
Big day, but hopefully it's a good day. I know that we've seen some crazy moments already at the World Cup. Bigger shocks than if Wales were to go and get a positive result against England. So
yeah, well, speaking of bigger shocks from the other countries, I think the most notable one was last week with the Argentina-Saudi Arabia game. I don't know if you've even seen the Saudi Arabia fan celebrations, but I really hope they go far in this competition just to see a group of Saudis just in some hut with a TV they look like they've stolen from fucking PC World, ripping the door off its hinges, and a guy coming outside with an AK-47. Fucking brilliant.
Absolute pandemonium.
Yeah, shocking result though.
Well, it was
for Argentina, of course.
They were awful, mate. They really were. To get a soft penalty, and it probably is a penalty. VAR reviews it. Lionel Messi does what Messi's going to do from the penalty spot, buries that, and then there's a whole controversy with the Lisandro Martinez. Was he offside? Wasn't he? Did VAR go to the right player? Didn't they? All that kind of stuff. And then in the second half, yeah, it just kind of all fell away, and Saudi Arabia got 2 goals, and then Argentina never really looked like scoring. All the
2
talent
really
they had
good
on the
goals
pitch.
as well.
Yeah, fantastic for them. But it just shows how quickly the World Cup spins, because they go out in then the next game and get beat, and the group flips again, as I think Poland beat them, and then obviously
Poland, yeah.
Argentina went, and Lewandowski gets his first World Cup goal, and then Argentina against Mexico, which was an awful game again, and it falls to Messi, 20 yards out, puts it in the bottom corner, place comes to life, and then they score another really good goal, and you're thinking, at the moment, you couldn't see them winning the World Cup, but the group stages is all about getting out of the group. as long as you get out of the group, no one really gives a shit. And that result will be replayed over and over again, the same way that the Cameroon result in 1990 was replayed over and over again against Diego Maradona's
That's
Argentina,
the
and they went
one.
all the way to the final. So, um, yeah, I think that they can grow into a tournament. They'll not have it easy against Poland. Poland are a very hard-working team, and they've seemed to struggle against that. Obviously Saudi Arabia pushed them back. Mexico were good in at points. Obviously they struggle at the top end of the pitch as well. But yeah, so Poland are going to work hard. They've obviously the lethal threat that is Lewandowski up top as well. So it'll be a tight game. But if Argentina come through that, I think they'll feel themselves growing into the tournament. And really, let's be honest, who have you actually seen sparkle? Bar probably France. Who have you seen sparkle? Watch the Brazil game today and meh.
Yeah, only a 1-0 win over Switzerland. Yeah, no, like you said, not really any
Some
teams
fucking
stood
goal. Have you
out.
seen the goal?
I haven't seen the goal yet.
Casemiro's goal. Oh, mate, take a bow.
Was late on as well, from what I've seen, but I haven't seen any coverage of that game yet. But no, like you said, I think there was early promise from. I think the most notable ones were England and France. They opened up with 2 massive victories,
Yeah.
and then apart from that, we went through. I think it was like Wednesday and Thursday. We went through 2 days of a load of 0-0 draws. Then it sort of perked up again over the weekend. We saw Croatia beat Canada, who are one of the 2 countries that are already eliminated from the World Cup, along with Qatar. From what I've heard as well, is that the Qatari national team is set to disband after the tournament, which is laughable.
That's maybe the most Qatari thing I've ever heard.
I know. They'll probably get executed. I don't know.
Uh, Look, I enjoyed watching Canada play. Um, they obviously got the early goal yesterday against Croatia, which was big for them. I think it's the first time they've scored at a World Cup finals.
Yeah.
Jonathan David, bags from.
Alfonso
and then
Davis, I think, got it, actually. Yeah, it was Alfonso Davis that bagged it.
Was it? Was it
Yeah,
him
it
that
was, yeah.
scored?
I know. Guy plays anywhere, Gaffer.
But yeah, I mean, it was one. I think it was one of maybe those ones where they'd scored a wee bit too early, and they kind of brung to life Croatia, and Croatia did look, pretty good. I only watched 60 minutes of it, but they looked good in that spell, and then obviously they go on to win comfortably. There'll be someone as well that are feeling they're growing into the competition. Obviously, drew their opening game against, I think it was Morocco.
Yeah, I think that was, yeah.
And then they've come and they've picked up a solid win, so they're feeling themselves growing into the tournament, and that's what you want. You want to grow into this tournament and peak at the right times. And people talk about it all the time in tournament football that you don't want to be playing your best stuff early doors. You want to grow into the competition. You want to go deep, and then you can really start to turn it on. And I think we're seeing that, but like Brazil have won both of their games, but they were good in the second half of their first game. Didn't really dazzle today. A moment of individual magic wins them the game. So yeah, I think it's heating up nicely. I think if it wasn't in Qatar, people would be talking about how exciting this World Cup is. But I think people are scared to say actually the World Cup's been pretty good. If you put aside obviously everything, all the noise outside and everything else that's happening, the way that they're lying about capacities and all that carry on, and all of obviously the human rights elements that are outside and being discussed. However, when you put that aside, and the actual football and the intrigue in the games, I haven't watched a game that I've thought was dull. There's been games that have been less eventful, but there's so much importance on every game in the World Cup that you're engrossed, no matter if you're watching Australia versus Morocco or Tunisia, sorry, whoever they were playing the other day, and they won 1-0. Not a great game. Costa Rica, Japan. Costa Rica win 1-0. You're not going to go back and rewatch these games unless you're a Costa Rica fan. I imagine you probably will.
Yeah.
But you still feel connected, and that's why I love the World Cup. Because I get to support 31 teams, which is lovely because my team never gets there. So.
Yeah. Well, it's 1 or 31, isn't it? I'll
Yeah,
tell you
so
one thing that has been quite notable from this World Cup as well. They've really cut down on, well, I mean, recuperated the time that's been wasted with all of this substantial amount of added time in
I
these
thought you was going to
fixtures.
say beer. They've really
Oh
cut
well,
down on beer. Cut down on that.
yeah. In the fan zones, they've still got it, but
I,
in and around the stadiums, not so much.
but yeah, I think at every World Cup there's like a a statement that goes out and everyone rallies behind it. Obviously, I think it was Russia where they first trialed VAR, back in 2018, and that was seen as a big success. Or maybe it was Brazil. I don't know, one of the two. So that there's always like a difference, that comes with, the World Cup. This time they're rolling out that, the correct amount of time needs added on and all this kind of stuff. So interesting. I can't remember what game I watched actually. I think it may have been Denmark, maybe Denmark's first game. And
They
the ref
drew
was
that game, didn't they? Yeah.
0-0. And the ref was fantastic, absolutely superb. And it was right at the end of the game. Whoever Denmark were playing in the first game, there's a VAR call where it bounces off of him and hit his arms out like this. He can't move in any way, shape, form. Hits his arm, goes through to the keeper, and the VAR said to the ref to go look at it on the screen. So you're thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. The ref goes over, looks at it, comes over, says no. Common sense prevailed, and
Wow.
I was like, holy shit! Can you
Fucking
ref
hell.
every game in Scotland that Celtic are connected to, please?
Get him down to the Welsh capital now.
So that was nice. But the problem with you bring refs in from every country is the inconsistencies
Yeah.
that that go through it. So yeah, I think it's been I think it's probably been better. World Cups have been worse. I would give it a solid 6, 7 out of 10 so far, and we're only in you know we've gone through the sort of shit round of group games where everybody's tense and nervy. From tomorrow on, it's pretty much knockout football. So, you've got to go and you've got to affect the games and win the games, and should be some exciting games, some big results, and I'm sure a few twists along the way. So, I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of big games coming up. In fact, when we were just speaking about Croatia, they go into their final match day against who were dubbed your favourites at the start of the competition, Mayhem, Belgium.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on their performances so far?
yeah,
Yeah.
fucking nah, they
Fucking
are
nah.
shit. They are shit.
If it makes you feel
It's
better,
in,
remember Belch said Argentina. I know they're starting to pick up a bit, but Belgium really haven't lifted off in this competition.
mate. I don't think they've even got into fucking second gear, mate. They've stalled. They're still at the start line.
Yep.
It's and the wheels are falling off. Yeah, the Morocco result really just paints the picture to what the Canada result should have been. Because Canada had 22 shots and didn't manage to score and got beat by Mishi Bashiwashi, fucking
That's it.
Bashiwai,
I think that's a
fucking
Pokemon, isn't
I fucking been more effective up top than that clan. Like,
it?
um, but yeah, I mean, Lukaku's got to be head in hands, and he thinking, what the fuck's going on? I mean, if Lukaku has one leg, I'd be starting him for the. I don't give a shit what his problem is. He's there. I've seen him in the stands. If I was Martinez, but you're playing Gaffer, I'm injured. Don't give a fuck. I'm not starting him again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
look,
yeah. Even Kevin De Bruyne came out the other day and admitted that the Belgian national side are, like I said, to sum it all up, what he said, they're a team in decline.
yeah, but they look awful. I mean, and like superbly awful as well. Like the Canadian press was nothing special, right? Nothing special at all. As we see when they tried to do it to Croatia, they just popped it random. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why the likes of Witsel and whoever else come on just wasn't dropping into that little pocket of space, that six area, like taking the ball in, playing it wide or taking the ball in, spreading play, and absolutely killing the press, because it wasn't like they were hunting in packs. They were literally just pressing right up against them, and they were having real trouble with it. Yeah, so just it looks like a lack of football and intelligence. That then falls back to Roberto Di Matteo, not Di Matteo, sorry, Roberto Martinez. You know, how are you setting these guys up? What are you saying to them? That they've magical players on that bench, the likes of Thierry Henry, and they for some reason these brilliant football brains can't figure out how to beat this simple press. And yeah, you look at the back three, like they've been there a while, and clearly there hasn't been anyone else coming through, and you feel sorry for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Timo Courtois, fucking fantastic players
Yeah.
that are stuck in a team that are, well, they'll be lucky to get out of the groups. I don't think they'll be good enough. I think Croatia are taking them apart.
Well, here's a big question as well for you regarding Belgium. Have we seen a bigger downfall from a technical perspective, but technically gifted player he was once upon a time? Have we seen as big of a downfall as we've seen with Eden Hazard? The guy looks a shadow of what he once was.
Fernando Torres?
Probably Fernando Torres. When he made the move to Chelsea, I'd
Yeah.
assume that
Yeah, the only reason I was that quick is because I was having like a mini debate on Twitter with someone last night.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, it's that, yeah, it's just he got the move to Madrid. He was a fantastic player at Chelsea. Anyone that says differently doesn't have eyes. He was a cracking player.
The guy was arguably the best player in the league at that point, yeah.
Yeah, carried Chelsea to Premier League titles, was fantastic. And yeah, for whatever reason, and that's what makes the likes of Gareth Bale and these other British players that go over to Madrid and succeed even more special, because the weight that comes on to you when you're playing for the Galacticos, Eden just hasn't been able to deal with it.
No.
And you hear like the people such as like Joe Cole and people like that say that Eden Hazard is the best player he's ever played with. That's just absolutely phenomenal. And he's, yeah, something seems off, broken. But yeah, he's gone from, and you thought he would go up another level at Madrid, and actually he's just been replaced by Vinicius Junior, and I'm sure it won't be long before his time at the Bernabeu comes to an end.
Yeah, no, it feels like it's pending, and he'll be another one of those players who we spoke in the same breath with the top footballers in the world at one point, was phenomenal at Chelsea, got the big move to Real Madrid, substantial fee, always got the world on your shoulders when you represent the Galacticos, as you said, and then got injuries throughout his first season. There was questions about his weight, his physique, and then it just sort of spiraled down from there, and it's really shown in its element in this World Cup for Eden Hazard.
Yeah, I think Thorgan's a better player than him now.
I know, it's mental to
which
think that now.
which you would never have thought a million times over. Yeah, it's been a real poor tournament for him. I'm sure that'll be the first one to me. I imagine this will probably be Martinez's last major tournament with Belgium. To have that golden generation, and never really. And I think they got to like semi-finals one year and finished third maybe, but yeah, never really go on and win what they probably should have. Or get it's hard to win these kind of tournaments. Get as close as they should have, but they had a special team at one point, and yeah, they've just fallen well short.
Absolutely. Another team, though, I was going to mention as well that has raised eyebrows and got question marks in front of their name is Germany. Started off the competition on a rough note in the opening game, came up short against Japan 2-1. That followed up with a second defeat to who were on paper, arguably, alongside Germany, their toughest opponent in the group in Spain, falling to a 1-0 defeat yesterday, courtesy of an old familiar face from Chelsea as well, Alvaro Morata.
Wait, they drew 1-1 yesterday.
Was it 1-1 in the end?
Yeah, Fulkrug scored the equaliser, the boy from Werder Bremen.
Fuck off. Why did I miss that? How late was it?
83rd minute. They should have won the game as well. Leroy Sané went clean through in the 90s and then fucked it. But
I just realised I turned that game off early. No, there, 1-1. Don't worry about that. But yes, anyway, question marks raised about Germany so far in this
yeah,
competition. What are your thoughts?
I really like the Germans. I think it's because of the pain they've inflicted over England so many years. They have a
Yeah.
real soft spot for them, but
Yeah, exactly.
they've been poor. It's another. You just kind of wonder what's happening, because again, they've still got. It's not quite as along the lines of Belgium. I think they've still, they've got that injection of youth. They've got that Musiala, and they've got the likes of Klosterman and that to come in, but it just hasn't seemed to click. They looked a million times better with a recognised centre forward on the pitch. Hopefully, in their last game, which I'm sure they'll fancy themselves to go out and win now. Um, and then that would probably see them through. If Spain beat Japan, which you'd think they would, but obviously that could change. Japan were poor against Costa Rica, but obviously good against Germany. So it depends on how they come out. But they're still in the tournament, and this could be one of these teams. Well, I've said it a few times already that if they could just grow into the tournament, I don't think after watching them against Spain and how uncomfortable they made it for a team that popped Costa Rica off 7-0 no bother. I don't think anyone will fancy playing them. I don't think anyone will fear them either. I don't think
No.
anyone's worried about Germany, but I don't think it's a game that they fancy. They work really, really hard. And I think maybe what the German coach has to do now is be brave. Thomas Muller, he just wasn't at it yesterday.
Yeah.
He's not a striker. Fulkrug comes on, buries a goal. So see for the Costa Rica game where you need goals, he starts.
Yeah.
Even if you're upsetting Thomas
Yeah.
Muller, then so be
Exactly.
it.
He's a man in form at the moment. And
Great story as well.
yeah, is it a great story as well?
Yeah, obviously playing so much of his career in the Bundesliga too, which was elegantly described by Gary Lineker as their equivalent of the championship. For fuck's sake, Gary, you could have done a wee bit of research and learned the fucking name of the thing just because it exists outside of England, you fucking fraud. Right? That's the
You
Bundesliga
should get
2.
a booking for that.
Fucking snip it up and send it across to Gary Lineker. That's the second division in Germany, you fucking bum. But and that really fucked me off. And Jurgen Klinsmann was sitting there as well, and I just wanted, Jurgen to come back to him with a slide dig, just really push it home. And he was
Oh,
like,
but
he's
Jurgen
played.
Klinsmann seems more American than German anyway.
So Gary's like, he's played in your version of the championship. And you wanted to be like, yeah, he's done well, blah blah blah. Really prolific in the Bundesliga too. That's you know your equivalent there, you fucking dick. Like just the ignorance of them. But yeah, obviously played a lot of time down there. Obviously had a good promotion season's come up. He's I think he's got Player of the Month twice in the Bundesliga. Probably wouldn't have got into the squad if it wasn't for Timo Werner getting injured.
Hmm.
But he's now got a World Cup goal to his name. Brilliant.
Great story. Just a note as well. Can you honestly believe that Thomas Muller is only 33 years old?
He looks like he's like a 40-year-old heroin addict, doesn't he? He looks so fucking
It looks like his
ill.
first World Cup was the first World Cup.
Yeah. That's the famous Muller that that they show was him with a funnier hairstyle. No, it's just for me, like I know he had a good season with Bayern last year, and he kind of rediscovered some form, but I just think sometimes people Germany looks so much better for having a Fulkrug on the pitch. So just go with that and just say, Thomas, you don't fit in the system here, buddy. Like, who am I going to drop? Musiala? No, probably the future of the team.
Yeah.
Leroy Sané, Gnabry. You know, no, basically
Mm.
is the answer. Fantastic players. So you're trying to squeeze people in. England tried to do it for years. Try and squeeze these players on, and it doesn't quite come off because it's not natural. So
Yeah. Or it's just a sense of that whoever's the manager is having their arm pinned behind their back, saying no, you've got to pick these players.
Yeah,
One or
and
the
look,
other.
Germany haven't lost a lot of games. Same as Argentina coming in. Argentina, I think, were unbeaten in like 35. I think the German coach has only lost maybe like two of his last 30 games. Obviously, one was against Japan. They're winning football teams. It's just they've got to the World Cup and they're froze on the biggest stage. So that's what I mean. We've probably yet to see the best football from a lot of these teams. England have had a good performance, Spain have had a good performance, but if Germany were to go out and win 5-0 against Costa Rica, you know, would we be saying don't see them doing much, or Argentina turn on the style against Poland and batter them 4-0? All of a sudden I think it would turn again the same way that it's kind of turned for Brazil and France are the only team that's really continued that momentum. So they look the real deal. They look like they're going to take some stopping, and it really feels like Mbappe is coming of age. Someone should have picked him for top goal scorer.
He broke a record the other day as well, didn't he? What was it? It was
I know they were banging on about he was level with the amount of goals that Messi's scored at World Cup. I know that Giroud leveled Thierry
Henry's
Henry's,
record. Yeah, that was the big one.
Which is mad. The fact that he's leveling that for France. So yeah, I think that Haaland's been special in the Prem, but I think just watching them toe to toe, like for like, and I'd rather have Mbappe.
Ooh.
I think Mbappe now needs to step out of the French league and go and show the world
I
just
think
how
that's
good
the
he is.
problem. I don't know. I mean, he's got to. I don't know how he can honestly see himself at PSG for the long term. We talk about PSG in the past and about how we just feel that they'll never ever compete for Europe's biggest honours. Big one being the Champions League, always coming up short, getting to the quarterfinals, maybe the semis, and then being knocked out. And it seems like the same old song and dance with PSG. And I think for that reason, I feel Mbappe just needs his next move's got to be Real Madrid, surely. Like,
I think the problem they have is that they're all really brought into Vinny Jr. over there.
yeah,
They really like him. They get the same kind of feels of like Neymar at Barca. I don't think he was good as Neymar was at Barca. But I think they get those kind of feels when they're really invested in him. So, where would Mbappe come in and play? Would he play as a 9? I don't think that's where he plays his best football. I think he plays his best football on the wing and then kind of coming in and getting the ball a little bit deeper and setting people up and drifting in at that back post. So I think that would be that. So yeah, I don't know where, and he could go anywhere in the world, but I don't know where he would go. I think is the more pressing thing. Obviously, Barca are in ridiculous trouble. There's the Premier League, but the amount of money, the fact that PSG said no to 200 million when Real Madrid offered
well, it's
it.
because I think a big part of it was the contract that PSG put on the table for Mbappe, basically making him part owner of the club.
Yeah, but you've heard whispers that he's not overly happy with everything that's happening there. So be interesting to see, but yeah, it seems a weird dynamic. But
Who
guess I have to wait and
knows?
see.
Who knows? Who knows? And just looking at the groups at the moment, there are in fact only there's 3 teams. So we've spoken about France. The other 2 teams we've mentioned Brazil, Portugal. They find themselves on 6 points in their group. They've won their 2 opening games, respectively over Uruguay and Ghana, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
If it was Ghana, it feels like they've been very unfazed with, of course, in the build up to the World Cup, we had the infamous Ronaldo interview, and it feels like the harmony amongst the Portuguese squad has really just gone unfazed by all of that nonsense, and have just come out the blocks and near enough blitzed this group.
Yeah, look, I don't think they've been. I didn't see them tonight, but certainly in the first game they were okay. It would. I mean, it wasn't a penalty. The one that Ronaldo gets was not. How VAR doesn't overturn that.
Oh, that's a yeah. I think that's the one of the big terrible decisions we've had.
So you know that happens, and then obviously João Felix scores a really good goal. I think Rafael comes on and scores. And they were cruising, and then all of a sudden Ghana are back in the game. They get it back to 3-2, and it's a little bit uncomfortable today. I think Uruguay are just one of these teams that are, Edison Cavani and Luis Suarez, add them together, 70 years worth of footballing experience, but no legs.
No.
And they've just fallen short with that. So I think Portugal, it probably looked a harder group than it was. Ghana aren't as strong as they've been in previous years. Yeah, I think they've come up and done sort of their job, what they needed to do, and they'll cruise through. But again, they're someone that I think a lot of people would say this, but I couldn't see them at this moment in time winning the tournament. But we'll see what happens as the competition progresses.
Yeah. Do you have a new favourite for winning the competition now?
Well, I think
Is it fair to rule out Belgium now?
Yeah, they're done, mate.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed if they got out of the group. I think the obvious one now, the glaringly obvious one now is France. I think anyone that kind of moves away from that would be silly. Is there a dark horse? I think an outside chance from what I've seen of them. The Netherlands look okay. Gakpo looks like he's in good touch.
Scored a really good goal on Friday last week as well.
Yeah, and then obviously they let the 1-0 lead slip, but again, like Van Gaal, good tournament. Louis Van Gaal, good tournament experience, so he'll know how to go deep in the competition. But there is something as well. I know that they've looked to be a bit poor, but there was something watching them last night that I just don't think Germany are done yet. I think there's a twist to come. I think they'll beat Costa Rica comfortably, and that'll get them through to the knockouts. And then knockout football, I just don't think over one game. I just don't think you would fancy them. That said, no one. I don't think anyone will fear them. I just don't think you'd fancy them over, to really be undone. I think Spain were a lot of people's tournament favourites after they done what they'd done to Costa Rica, and they nullified Spain for large parts. Switched off for the Morata goal, but if they start to play with the centre forward and don't revert back, I think they could be a really sort of outside shout with the dark horses in the Netherlands.
Yeah, they were my favourites at the start, that's for sure. And what we're going to do now, before we love you and leave you all, we're going to go through all the groups, and I'm going to say to you, Mayhem, who would be your top two to go into the knockout stages. So we're going to start with Group A, and it is the group with the Netherlands in it, who are top. I think I'm guessing this is on goal difference, but well, they got the same goal difference as Ecuador. So Netherlands and Ecuador both on 4 points. Senegal on 3 points. We rule out Qatar because they're out already. Are you backing to be the final two to progress from that group?
I think Netherlands have to play Qatar
Yeah.
in their last game. So, yeah, I'd fancy them, obviously, to go and do a job on them. So, Netherlands through top. And then, for me, I think Senegal were just missing that Sadio Mane presence.
Yeah.
Whereas, Ecuador have, Eder Valencia up top, and I think that could be the difference.
Yeah,
I would
a man
fancy.
who's rich in form at the moment.
Yeah, I would say Netherlands top, Ecuador second.
Okay, so you'd leave it as it is.
Hmm.
Do we need to talk about Group B?
England top, Wales second.
Love it. Group C, we got Poland, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and Mexico. So Poland are on 4, Argentina and Saudi on 3, Mexico on 1.
It's Argentina to beat Poland to go through top,
Okay.
and then I don't think that Saudi Arabia will have will. I think they'll draw with Mexico.
I
So
think it'll
whatever
be a
that would
draw,
do.
yeah. So
So
that'll put
that'll
Saudi Arabia on 4 points, so level on points with Poland, but down to goal difference. As long as Poland don't lose by more than 3 goals, then we could still see Poland progressing into the knockout stages in second.
tough on Saudi Arabia if that's happening there. You get 4 points and
Yeah,
you don't get out of the group.
tough. Very tough. Group D. I think we know who's going to finish top. So we've got France, top of their group, 6 points.
Yep.
We've got Australia on 3 points, Denmark on 1, and Tunisia on 1.
Yeah, but I think Denmark play Australia in the last game.
They do.
So, yeah, I think Denmark will get over the line against Australia.
Yep.
Tunisia they're just probably hoping that Mbappe doesn't score a brace. So, yeah, I think France will blow away Tunisia. As good as they've looked, to be fair to them, they didn't look as good against Australia. They looked really good against Denmark in the first game. But I think in the end, running around a lot and falling back into shape ends up being found out. So I think Denmark will finally get the win that they need, and it'll be France and Denmark going through.
France and Denmark. Okay, Group E. This is a tough one. Spain, Japan, Costa Rica, Germany. So Spain are top with 4 points. Yep. Japan, Costa Rica both on 3. Germany bottom with 1 point.
Yeah, again, look, I think Spain will be too good for Japan. Just that kind of football, I think Japan will really struggle with, and Spain to be comfortable winners. And I expect Germany to, they need to score at least 2 goals, to kind of give themselves a wee bit of security. So I think they'll go at Costa Rica, and Costa Rica have been they're a wee bit better against Japan, obviously won, but I think Germany will do the business, and it'll be Spain top, Germany second.
Spain top, Germany second. Group F. So we got Croatia, Morocco, Belgium, and Canada. Now, as much as we've absolutely slaughtered Belgium in this episode, Croatia and Morocco are both on 4 points, Belgium on 3 points, and Canada already out. So it's between the 3.
Yeah, Croatia and Morocco.
Croatia and Morocco. Look a really strong side, Morocco. It's funny with these African teams. You don't realise what what players they have, and they really do tend to create surprises in these international tournaments. So, Croatia and Morocco. Right, second to last group, Group G. Brazil, Switzerland, Cameroon, and Serbia. So Brazil are top with 6. Switzerland second with 3. Cameroon, Serbia both on 1 point.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, though, it will be...
It'll be Brazil, Cameroon.
Switzerland versus Serbia. So a straight sort of head-to-head game shootout for second place. Serbia was a lot of people's dark horses. I don't think they're that good of a football team.
It's weird with Serbia. You can't really put your finger on them because they do have a really good team on paper, but they just haven't looked to really live up to that.
To be fair, mate, I don't think they often do. I remember obviously Scotland going there and qualifying for the Euros against them, and
great night that was.
A lot was said about how they would potentially be the dark horses for the Euros if they got through. Blah blah blah. I don't know if it's the manager, it's the way that they gel. I don't know, but I can't see him beating that Switzerland team. I thought they were rugged tonight, and again, the magicians like Shaqiri and Mbolo, that can be fantastic as well. So I think they'll certainly have enough to see off Serbia. So Brazil top, and Switzerland second.
Switzerland second. You lead the group as it is. Okay. And in the final group, Portugal, Ghana, South Korea, Uruguay. Portugal are top with 6. Ghana is second with 3. And then there's South Korea and Uruguay both on 1 point.
Yeah. Again, I think it is I think Portugal that have to play South Korea.
Yep, correct.
And then Uruguay, obviously, against Ghana. Yeah, I think this could be where we get, bar Morocco, this could be the African contingency that goes on to the knockout stages.
Yeah.
Portugal, I think, Portugal will be in stat pad mode for, Mr. Ronaldo. So they'll want to go out, they'll want to finish strong. And I think Ghana are the second strongest in the group. I think South Korea have been, they fought back a little bit today, but ultimately left themselves. Well, they got back to 2 each, and then just give the game up again. So, obviously, but a disappointing tournament for Son. I'm sure he dreamt of having much more of an impact, but I think it'll be
for Son.
Ghana will get through.
Ghana will get through. They always have that. They have that it factor when it comes to World Cups as well. They always seem to go far in this competition. So I feel that will really sort of help them prevail.
It was just, obviously they raced into a 2-goal lead today. South Korea come back, and then it's in those moments when you get back to 2-2 that you really need a leader to kind of galvanise you, steady you, be tight, for the next 10 minutes, and then push on. And after 7 minutes later, they give away a third, and you really just felt from there that there was only one winner. So, and I think that'll probably be the same case when Ghana play Uruguay. I think they'll look at the legs in the Uruguayan team, look at the players that they fear. Probably only Valverde that they really fear, be tightening around him, and I think they'll have enough.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Got our predictions in place. And now we sit back for another week, enjoy our final. Well, I'm confident it'll be Wales's final hurrah in the World Cup until, well, I guess if we do make it, we make it 2026. But some big games to look forward to. And then things get interesting as of next week, where we come back and we have the knockout stages to look forward to.
Yeah.
100%. I'll probably cry myself to sleep tomorrow night after the result, but who knows? Mayhem, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for tonight, mate.
No problem.
Good to be back on the podcast after taking a week out from doing it and doing the watch-alongs. I'm not too sure if we will have any coming up soon, but we will, of course, discuss the possibility of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new to the Football Booth podcast, you can catch all episodes over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible. If you want to watch the YouTube VODs now, yes, this is in fact our first podcast episode live streamed on YouTube. You can check them out on the Football Booth channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, just to keep you up to date when the next episode is dropped. Until then, ladies and gents, thank you all again for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next Monday. Good night, and no star.